Hey, great students. Hope you're doing well. It is time for another student interview. I'm here with one of our 11th graders,
Yes.
Jonathan, and Jonathan's going to talk with us today. But before we go any further, Jonathan, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to?
I am in 11th grade. I am the pastor's kid. Also president of the school's kid. Been that pretty much my whole life, at least a pastor's kid.
Those are the same people for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah.
They're the same. The pastor and the president are the same.
No, I have two parents. Yeah, I've been a pastor's kid pretty much my whole life. And it's been different, I think, for most times. And what I've been up to, not much. Just doing homework and sitting at home. It's been pretty boring, but also fun at sometimes.
Yeah. So, do you feel like so you said earlier that you like being online.
Yes.
Do you have a class that like you hated in person, but now that you're online, you actually enjoy the subject?
Well, I hated most classes, but there are some, I still don't like math. Spanish is a little bit more tolerable now that I don't have to actually be in the classroom. And just in general, I like it more because I have my own pace. I can go as fast, and I can listen to music and chew gum while I'm.
Do you listen to Spanish music while you're?
No.
That might help. That's an idea.
Maybe.
I don't know. Is there such a thing as math music? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
There is that band. It's like Ready Set Go or OK Go. I think it's OK Go, but they do like those like crazy like contraption music videos. I feel like there's a lot of math in there. Like I don't know. They had one like on the Super Bowl a couple years ago, like where they took like a car and like basically just like hit all these like marks. Like was it a Rube Goldberg machine? Where it like sets the in motion. Basically, that's like all their music videos, or they used to do it. I don't even know if they're still a thing. So, anyways, maybe try that, and maybe that'll help you with math. I hate math, so I'm right there with you.
I despise it.
So
I do like getting to chew gum while I work.
Yeah, my Carly also is a big fan of gum. Have you gotten it stuck in your hair?
Yes.
How?
I don't really remember, but
like recently? Is this recent or
no?
is this
Not
like,
recent.
Oh,
not recent.
okay.
But I had done it. I chewed gum a lot, so.
Okay, yeah, that's forgivable. My mom got Carly hooked on chewing gum. It's like as soon as like their first tooth pops in for any of her grandkids, it's like, oh hey, here's some gum, chew on that. So like, I mean, they have no hope, especially when they're around my mom. So yeah, so gum's a big thing in our home as well. So that's great. I'm glad you're doing well. So kind of what we've been doing is just want to hear from you guys as students. And so our topic for today is dealing with expectations. So as Jonathan mentioned, he is a pastor's kid. He's the school's president's kid. And the important thing in all this, he has no choice in that matter. So whose kid he is. So expectations are put on him. So Jonathan, can you just tell us your experience with expectations? I mean, as a pastor's kid, but even just in basically take it where you want to go with it.
Well, I think starting out, there's always the expectation when you're a pastor's kid, and it does reflect sometimes on my dad. Like sometimes he'll get mad at me with something I did because he's the pastor and what I did could affect what people think of him, and that can get annoying at times because other people, they don't have to worry about that. But I think after a while of just being in the school and people realizing that I'm not the best student and like that, I think those expectations have kind of started to fade a little more. I still get jokes every once in a while, like, you're a pastor's kid. But it's not actually that bad with expectations. I never felt pressured by them. Like, I have to do this just right because it could reflect well or worse on my father. So I've never really had a problem with them. But, I do know from my sister that they've had expectations of her coming into the classroom, specifically Mr. Ulmer, who thought that she was going to be like a bad kid like I was. So even just in that way, expectations can affect how like your siblings can be affected by it as well. And I think that people don't realize sometimes that expectations are a lot of what the first time you see someone, you have an expectation of what you think they're going to be like. So it can really make a big difference on what you think of someone.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point that you brought up about your siblings. Because of what you've done as the oldest, you have that one aspect, but then younger. So I'm the youngest sibling, so I can relate to your brother and sister a little bit. But yeah, but what you do sets expectations. So not only are expectations set on you, but you kind of set expectations for other people. So I mean, I would think I would agree with that. I was a staff kid growing up. My mom taught kindergarten, and then she'd been there for years and years. So I was kind of a brat in kindergarten with that. So like, fortunately, it was like lower elementary, and I was able to kind of like learn from it. One of my good buddies, he always like he just remembers the time like he was like, you were the worst kid. Like you're like, well, my mom is gonna do this. So how do you handle being a staff kid? Do you and not like making it the most important thing, not letting that be what everybody knows you by?
I mean, I try to never really mention like that my dad's the pastor. Like some people, like I know some of the newer people in our class, it'd take them a few months to realize that I was the pastor's kid. So I don't like talking about it. He's my dad, he's the president of the school, but that shouldn't change anything, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I try not to use my like the I'm the pastor's kid card to get out of things. I think that it has helped me sometimes when I've been like in a sticky situation. It helps me have gotten out of it a little bit better.
When
At
it's
least
useful, you go to it.
yeah. Some people say that I should have been expelled, but because of my being a pastor's kid, that I've been saved. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that some teachers have targeted me more or so because of me being a pastor's kid. Or that's just because I acted up in their classes. But I just don't like bringing it up. I feel like it's not that important. It shouldn't change anyone's view of who I am and what I'm like. So I don't really usually have to deal with it. Most people don't really bring it up or we talk about it. And when we talk about it, it's not condescending or anything. I think most people like my dad, so it's good.
Yeah. So just kind of on a more personal level. So from my standpoint, I don't think there'd be a ton. But you mentioned earlier, your dad has expectations just because it reflects on him. But I think that's true of any parent.
Mm-hmm.
I think, one thing that's kind of in circles that I've been in, it's like, remember whose you are, right? So your actions don't affect you. We kind of touched on that a little bit, but I guess what are your dad's expectations for you?
I mean, I've been in ISS before, and that was not bad. I think he just doesn't want me to do anything like super, super, super bad. But when I do get in ISS and stuff, I do get my consequences more at home as well as sitting in a desk for a whole day by myself. But I don't think his expectations are that like high, which I really appreciate because I don't like when parents have like these high expectations and try to like control your life with that. So I feel like as long as I'm like stay like within the line and don't really get expelled or anything, and he doesn't like when I get ISS.
I don't think any parent would. So
Yeah, but his expectations I feel like aren't different than a lot of parents, and in some cases probably more lenient because he's a pretty lenient guy.
yeah, I mean, I like I said, I didn't personally, as I kind of think of that question, I didn't think like, oh, this would be surprising if it was. I think it's fairly straightforward, the expectations he set for you. I think, is there, just kind of before we kind of jump into our biblical tie into this, is there anything like a misconception about being a pastor's kid that like people are like, hey, they have this expectation, but it's just completely wrong?
Um, Not really. I mean, I think that sometimes people do think that it can help me when I'm like in trouble or something. It really doesn't. I mean, I feel like Mr. Tucker and Mr. Nobles treat me the same way they treat anyone else. So other than that, I don't really think so. There's not that much that goes with it, and I don't think many people think about what's it like to be a pastor's kid. I mean, other than knowing a lot of the staff and having to go to like staff things with my dad and knowing like seeing teachers there. That's about all that's really different, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. When I was a staff kid, there wasn't a ton different. I would agree with you, except the only difference was if you got in trouble, the punishment was a lot quicker. So my mom was there, so
Yeah.
like there'd be times that I would do something. I mean, I was a good
Yeah, I
kid,
have.
unlike you, evidently.
I have gotten that threat before. Like,
but
Miss Miss Buckley or someone. I'll call your father. So I've gotten that threat before. Never had it, like no one's ever followed through with it, but I have heard of it before.
Yeah, my mom followed through a couple times, so but I mean, one of them, she was my teacher, so it was like even more instantaneous on
Yeah,
that. So that was probably like the only thing there. But yeah, I mean that's good. I think there there's pros and cons to it. And I think handling the expectations there and staying even. I mean, I think you're kind of in a good situation with your dad, like you said. Nothing. It's not like outrageous expectations. I think his expectations are probably pretty normal parenting. Like, yeah,
yeah.
expectations. So real quick, just want to just jump into scripture since this is our Devo for the day. So I was kind of thinking through this when we have expectations. We said this at the beginning. So you don't choose whose family you're born in, or the expectations that are set upon you, right? That's kind of what expectations are. They're chosen for
Mm-hmm.
you, and you can rise to meet them, or you can completely ignore them. And you kind of work through that as you get older. But I mean, all throughout scripture, there's examples of people who basically their life was chosen for them. Think of John the Baptist or Samson,
Mm-hmm.
but even Moses. His story. He was found by Pharaoh's daughter, raised up in Pharaoh's house, left. And basically God was preparing him to lead the people out of Israel. And so just the verse I want to read and just kind of how we deal with the expectations and just using Moses as example, because Moses, as we know, he didn't want to do it right away, right? He didn't want to meet the expectations that were, and we can feel like that sometimes. There's
Mm-hmm.
expectations set on us and we were like, I don't really want to do that. Or it could be like, I don't really feel equipped. Like that's way too hard for me to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet that. So I think in this way, Moses is very relatable. But I think it's important to remember that through, and we'll read that verse in a second, but it's through whatever expectations people put on us, fair or unfair, we have a strength in God, as Moses did. That same God that helped Moses is the same God that helps us through our trials, through our responsibilities. So I'm just going to read this verse real quick. So it's Exodus 4 in verse 11 and 12. It says this. This is right after Moses is talking with God, going back and forth, trying to give excuses. It says this. Then the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with you, with your mouth, and teach you what you shall speak. So real quick, just that verse is Moses talking with God, and God comes back. He's like, Moses, remember who created man, right? Who gives them the ability to speak? Moses was using excuse, I'm not a good speaker. And God's like, it's me, right? It's me. I am going to be with you. And I think that's something that we need to remember through whatever expectations people put on us, whether fair or unfair. It is God that gives us the strength. It is God that gives us the ability to meet those expectations, to rise to them when we don't really feel like, hey, I'm ill prepared for this, or this isn't really what I want to be doing. Sometimes, believe it or not, parents, adults, even teachers, they know better than us sometimes, right? They see potential that is there that we don't quite understand yet. And so part of their job is to kind of push you to that in it. And any stretching, any growth is going to be hard at times. But through that all, we serve the same God that was with Moses. That was like, Moses, look, you can do this. I have a plan for you. I'm the one who allows people to speak. I'm the one who created man, right? It is me. It comes from me, and I am with you. So I think through all of our expectations, whatever the ones are set on us, if we trust in God and we find our strength in God, then we will find it a little bit easier. And again, I think it's just changing our perspective a little bit, because a lot of times when we feel like we feel like a expectation is unfair, it's probably because we don't really like it all that much. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you have to expectation of getting like straight A's, and you're not like going to school. You're not gonna like that expectation, and you're gonna make excuses on why you can't do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, I think with those, for some people, straight A's may not be realistic. Some people it may, but I think through all of that, we trust in God. We trust in Him as the source of our knowledge, as the source of our abilities, instead of focusing on ourselves. Because when we focus on ourselves, we get set in our comfort level of, well, this is what I like to do, so I'm not going to reach that expectation because it doesn't really fit with what I want to do, and that's not really how life works. So just something to keep in mind. We have the example of Moses as we work through all these expectations. I think expectations are something that everyone deals with. So not just you as a pastor's kid, everybody everywhere has expectations. They just look a little bit different. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you for sharing your experience. Before we jump off, just a few more questions, okay?
Okay.
So with everyone in your house, who is the easiest person? Who has been the best person to be stuck at home with? And has it changed from who you thought it would have been?
Yes, it is. Surprisingly, it's actually Jordan.
Why Jordan?
Because I feel like my sister's been really stressed and she's been like studying, and sometimes she can be in like a snappy mood. Jordan's more like me; he doesn't really care. So we've kind of like, he's not as stressed, I'm not as stressed, so we can kind of like come together on like this same page of like, it's school, it's the same thing. We don't really have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
So we've been more like friendly to each other than usual.
Yeah, I heard you guys like tore down a playground together.
Yeah, we had like an old fort in our backyard that none of us used anymore, so we just started to tear it down together.
Nice. What did you get to tear it down with? What tools?
Well, it was wood, so mainly an axe.
Nice. How long did it take you to do that?
It only took like 3 days, with
bad.
only like an hour or two a day, so it wasn't like
That's
a
not
lot.
bad. Spread it
Yeah.
out over time. So what are you gonna do with the pile of wood?
Probably my dad's probably gonna get like the church truck and take it down to like the dump or whatever it's called.
When it opened. All right. So that's good. So did you think it would be Jordan?
No.
Who do you think would be the easiest person to get along with?
Well, usually it's Jalen, so I thought it would be Jalen, but I was wrong.
Just so you know, she may watch this. So whatever happens, like Jalen is all it's all Jonathan. I am completely innocent. That is my disclaimer. Okay, last question. So hand washing, extremely important. What is your favorite scent of hand soap?
Ooh, I don't really have one. Well, we have there's only one kind of soap that I use, and I don't know what it's called. Also, I don't like
what does it smell like? Do you know what it smells like?
Bad.
So it's like Monsters Inc. You know, what was it? Smelly garbage was like the
maybe it's like the wet dog.
Wet dog. There you go. Jonathan likes the smell of wet dog. Oh man. Well, at least you're washing your hands though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Have you tried to learn something new? Or what's something you hope to be able to learn new or try something different? If you have any expectation of that.
Ooh, expectation. I don't know. I haven't really thought about like learning anything new during this. I've been rereading Harry Potter.
Okay, I guess that's a better question. How many times have you read Harry Potter?
I'm on the 7th book right now, about to finish it. I'm gonna restart. I started on book 1. I'm on book 7 now, and I'm gonna start rereading them again after I'm done book 7.
Do you have the like the illustrated versions?
I do not.
Those
I have one. It's on my desk over there. It's like it comes in like a Harry Potter trunk, which I think is pretty cool. And you store the books inside. They're all hardback, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because my siblings destroyed my other set, so I'm not letting them touch these ones. Yeah, I'm not letting them touch these ones.
I've tried to sit down with Carly and like read like even just like a paragraph. I think we've gotten to like the second page of the first book, but that's as far as we've gotten. So obviously she's a little young, but we're we're working slowly towards it.
That's good.
She has some like Harry Potter, like she has like a Harry Potter shirt and like at Target. Do you remember when they had? Well, probably not in the like.
Yeah. Well, I have some Harry Potter shirts.
Yeah.
As well as my Harry Potter cup.
Nice. Does it like do anything like magical when you like put water?
No. I'm gonna get one of those eventually, but this is just like the Marauders map. It has Mischief Managed, and then I saw only swim up to no good on the other side.
That's your motto. I saw only swim up to no good.
It's a good motto to live by.
It's a good motto to live by, especially if you're a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know you had a busy schedule of doing nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Doing absolutely nothing. So I'm glad you could take a break from that and hang out with us for a little bit. So anything you wanna leave? Any nugget of truth you wanna leave for everyone before we stop?
Well, see, there was this one time that Clayton put this thing in a group chat we have, that Harry Potter is exactly like Star Wars. And I would like to say personally to Clayton, that is not true.
Space wizards or normal wizards? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, well, they don't really have any powers. They just wave glowy sticks.
Oh, man, I think you just, opened a huge can of worms here. So on that note, this is all Jonathan's fault. Take it up with him.
You invited me on here. You knew
That's true. I did.
Knew what was going to happen.
I should have known. I mean, I wasn't disappointed. This has been good. So again, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.